Okay, chapter 5, Crosshairs in Python. First off, let me preface this by saying this chapter is not necessary to make a game. This is simply in here to show you guys how Python can be used to add more functionality to your game. I like modeling all my stuff on different layers where it's all clear. So I'm just going to go to another layer. I'll go to this one right here. I'm going to center my cursor. So Shift S, cursor to center. There we go. I can start. We're going to be making the crosshairs first. So we're going to be starting with the basic cube as in per step 2. So Shift A, I'm going to add a cube. There we go. So there's my cube. I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm in face mode already, but just in case you're not in face mode, press Control Tab and select face. Okay. So now, if I go on top, you'll notice that I'm going to do something here. I'm just pressing Shift and Spacebar. That basically maximizes the window I'm hovering over. So if I press it here, it would maximize that one, and Shift Spacebar again undoes it. Okay, so now I've got my whole screen blown up. I'm going to select, first of all, just this side face. Alright, I can do that from the top by pressing Z and selecting any of these dots, but I'm just going to select this face. Notice your grid that you're using from top view. I'm going to bring this face out to 2 units. So I'm going to press E, and then I'm just going to bring it all the way out to line it up with that grid mark. Alright, and I'm a little off. You can snap it using Control as well. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring each of these up 2 grid marks. E, and then I'm pulling it in the direction it's going. Press E, and then hold down Control, and there you go. Okay, so I have some good crosshairs right there. Now I'm going to bring this back into my ship scene by pressing M, and I'm going to click on this first layer. And now this is my ship scene. You can see the crosshairs in here with me. That is good. I'm going to move it up a little bit. Now I want to make it thinner and smaller. So first I'm going to make it thinner by pressing S, then Z. And I'm pressing G and then Z to bring it up. And I'll make it a little thicker than that. Now I want to make it pretty small. That should work. So if I'm in camera view, I can see it's going to be about that big. Maybe I'll make it bigger. We'll say like that. Okay, that's good. So that takes us all the way to step 9. Now in step 10, so I'm going to press Shift and Spacebar to give you my screens back. In step 10, we're adding a material. So let's add a material. Press New. I'm going to make mine red, just because, and I'll bring the intensity all the way up. Yeah, that should be good. Alright. And I like to bring the specular down. So there we go. All the way down to 0. I'm going to name this material Crosshair. Perfect. Alright, so now in step 13 it says this step's very important. Click on the object tab. We got to name this something. Let's name it Crosshair. That's pretty much going to be our default name for everything related to this crosshair. In the physics panel, we don't want this to collide with anything, so instead of saying static, we're going to say no collision, just like that, plain and simple. Alright, so here comes the getting the Python script set up. We're going to right click the ship, just like this. We're going to add an always sensor, okay? Then we're going to add an edit object actuator. Where is it? Right there. And hook those up together. Okay. If I want to click this true button right here, these 3 dashes, and then on the and box, I want to type in Python. Python. Okay. So Python. And in the edit box, we're going to say track 2. And we're going to select the object to Crosshair. There you go. I'm going to show you guys something at the very end of this tutorial. This is going to apply the Python script to different objects. Okay, so now if we right click on the camera, where's my camera? There's my camera. So I've got my camera selected, as you can see. So right click. Good. Now I'm going to go over here. So there is a property tab over here. I'm going to add a game property. I'm going to change the name of this to Crosshair, exactly what we named our Crosshair. I'm going to change the float to string, and then I'm going to type in empty here. Okay. So now I've still got my camera selected. Good. I'm going to add a mouse sensor. There's my mouse sensor. I'm going to select this box right here, and I'm going to select mouse over any. There we go. And now let's do file save. We're going to write our Python script. So now you should have another tab over here. If you don't, if this is something different, you just click on this properties drop down and you can select text editor from right here. Okay. We're going to find our templates right here. So click on template and then go into Python and select game logic simple right there. Alright. Now I'm going to name this something. I'm just going to call this Crosshair. This might differ from the chapter a little bit, but I'm calling my script Crosshair.py. Perfect. Now I'm just going to skip ahead because these next steps tell you how to write the script. I'm going to go ahead to step 39, and I'm just going to type everything in as they have it right there. That is a Python script. So right under def main, I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to delete it. Okay, so now I'm just going to type in everything you see in step 39. Okay, so there it is, all typed up. I'm just making sure I got everything. If you leave a space, if you don't terminate your commands with the colons, oftentimes it will not work. Okay, so that looks good. So I've got my camera still selected. That's good. We're going to add a controller instead of and this time there. We're going to hit Python. Okay, so connect these up. From the little text pad, I'm going to choose my Crosshair Python, Crosshair.python, and that's it. So now we just connect these. We're not adding an actuator. Okay, so if I press my game right now, it does not work. As you can see, my ship is backwards and it's not following my crosshairs. I found the problem. I added an extra S right here to where it should just say Crosshair. So it was Crosshairs. I'm deleting the S. Now, if I save it, now the ship follows my crosshair. Okay, but the only problem is it's backwards. So what we'll have to do with that in step 44, this is exactly what happened. I've got my ship selected. So the track 2 axis, I've got to change to -Y. And let's start it. There we go. Now it works just fine. Okay, so perfect. Now, what I've done in my final game. So as you can see, I've got a ship that follows the crosshair, and I can't fire that easy because the space bar's the fire button. What I've done is I've taken all of this code and I've applied it to my empty. Okay, so I'm going to select my empty. I'm going to do everything exactly the same as that follows the crosshair. So I'm going to add a sensor always. I'm going to make this true. We'll make this and we'll make this edit object. Where is it? Oh, edit object, and we'll set this to track to the crosshair. Okay, so we'll say track 2. Perfect. So now on my ship, I'll deselect these ones. So now my ship should stay the same and my crosshair should move freely. Okay, good. So we know that's working. I've just basically applied the aiming functionality from the ship to the empty. Now, because it's too difficult for me to hit my space bar while firing, I'm going to change my fire button from space bar, and actually let's just cut out the keyboard sensor completely. We'll add a mouse sensor and we'll say the left button. I'm going to move this up. So now every time the left button's pressed, and I'll say let's skip to 8, and we'll say tap. Let's see what that does. There we go. So now we can fire and just the empty tracks to the cursor. Alright, so that's actually working very well. A lot of my students had problems with the code, and as you can see, even I had a problem with the code. If you mistype one thing, it's all gonna not work. So whatever you named your crosshair, call it that in your code. Perfect. So now in chapter 6, we're going to work on damaging the enemy, or damage and enemy respawn.